Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops Money Talks show with Taylor and Jeff. Taylor is a estate lawyer and title company owner, small business owner in McKinney, Texas, and his business partner Jeff is a licensed financial advisor, has been in traditional finance for decades now.
Oh,
and what?
I was out of the picture.
Oh man. And this is a show where we talk about not just crypto, but traditional finance, wealth management, preserving your wealth. We all want to get rich. Some of us already, or not us, but some people already have, and you want to make sure that you protect that. Using legal vehicles like wills, trusts, small business formation, things like that. So, Taylor, Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How you guys doing?
Awesome.
I'm hanging on, I swear, I feel like it's been a year since January 1st, good, bad, and indifferent. So,
dude, it's been brutal.
Lots to talk about.
Right. So I know that we're always chatting on text, with different things that different funny things. And I know we were going off about AI, and you guys mentioned that you were, had something you were wanting to talk about today. So why don't you guys go ahead and kick it off?
So I can attest to holy shit. What freaking I'm using. I tried to use OpenClaw. I couldn't get it to function correctly. So I just been using Claude Desktop, the co-work, and it is unbelievable. What
just started that today.
I have 3 different computers running it right now, and it's unbelievable. All 3 of them are working right now to build out this thing that I'm asking it to build.
Actually, I just invited David to join us. He's the advanced DeFi guy that I work with, and he uses Claude a lot. So I'm sure that he can contribute to this conversation quite a bit.
Yeah, it is shocking what it's building consistently.
Oh, dude, he built the whole DeFi course that he offers for free at DeFi University. It was all built by Claude and by AI. He fed in the stuff and he like proofreads it and makes sure it's accurate and everything. But for the most part, it's almost all built out by AI.
Yeah. So all the things I've been trying to do for the last 2 years with AI, you have to take a screenshot, work on the scripts and like do all this crap. It's all just doing it now. And it's actually putting it all together.
Well, and you said that you're using like 3 different computers and they're communicating with each other and like basically checking each other and, doing different aspects of it and like working as a team.
Yeah. Cause I started feeling, you guys heard that clicking noise when you watch that video?
No,
I don't remember the clicking noise.
Yeah. If you go back and watch it, you'll hear a clicking noise. Apparently they make this clicking noise. You can't hear it like normally, but you can hear it when like I take a video. And someone said that's the computers talking to each other.
Really?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like they're freaking velociraptors or something. They're like clicking at each other.
Like, but if you watch the video, you'll hear the clicking on it. And like I filmed it a couple times and like there'll be nothing. Then you'll hear clicks and then you'll hear nothing. But I was like, what is that? And then it said, oh, well, they can speak in this clicking noise.
So they're like that African tribe.
Yeah. Apparently, but you can't hear it like normally without.
Dude, that tribe is crazy.
Yeah, this is.
So what exactly are you building with it?
A brain for the law firm, basically to help get all the information into one center.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a CRM system, I have this, and I have QuickBooks, and I want everything in one place that an AI can go to, get all the information, and be able to recommend what it needs to be doing.
Yeah. So basically a data aggregation from your siloed data, and you're basically bringing it all together so that it can make decisions based off a complete picture instead of fragmented data.
Exactly. And so like right now it's pulling it all together and like doing all these things. Like the hardest part is like my CRM system. They're so protective over like being able to pull the information off. They're like, oh, we don't really have an API system. So we have this other thing and you can only get this data. It figured a way around all that and has been gathering all the information and putting it into a Google Drive for me.
So basically it's scraping the data.
Exactly. And it's crazy. It's built all of its parameters. Like right now, this one says, this one's communicating and updating and letting the other computers know what it's done and what it's focusing on. This one is continuing going back and getting my CRM system fixed up. This one over here says it's writing my master index for the brain, how it functions.
So, like I said, I mean, it's like a hive mind. They're all doing their part, and they're working as a team.
Yeah, and so the interesting thing, though, I was watching. Who are those 4 billionaires that do that podcast? What's their thing called?
Oh, that's the All In podcast.
Yeah,
I was watching them, and
I
they were
love that
talking.
show.
And they were talking about how they were doing this, but they said the problem is they've gotten theirs functioning good, but they're like, the average agent is costing them $300 a day to run.
Yeah.
And so they're like, what, if it's going to cost that much to run these things? Well, at what point should you just hire employees?
Yeah.
Like, and just keep your employees, because it's costing, and they said, we're not even running them at full capability, that we've just allowed the employee to have that much, to use that much in the agent's, the token cost per day. And so it's actually a very good point to right now, like, yeah, this is awesome, but it's expensive, like, to do this. And so you might go, I'm going to build my own thing. You don't realize how much this is going to cost you, because, Cowork basically has the ability to get access to your Chrome. And so it went on, and I was like, oh, well, we need to talk back and forth. Maybe we should do it through text messaging. And so it says, oh, I'll build it on Twillo. So it went to Twillo, started spending money.
Started spending your money.
Exactly.
So it's a female AI.
we can just do this through Google Chat.
Hey, finally we have a reason to not be completely annoyed when you log in somewhere and it's like, verify you're not a robot.
There's coin, or the on Base chain, or it was Coinbase, they launched X402. So one of the limitations of AI was actually paywalls. It couldn't navigate paywalls. And so this X402 that launched just somewhat recently, it actually allows you to have a crypto wallet that it's another use case for crypto. It allows you to have a crypto wallet that your AI has access to where it can do, like, if you say I want you to do like whatever Taylor's doing, and this is your budget, this is your daily budget, you can give it a budget and it will operate on that budget. So but like Taylor was saying as well, is you need to look at your ROI, your return on investment. Is this making you more than it's costing you? So all of that has to be factored in.
So I think, man, there's so many different ways to go with this. I think the very best case version of our future is where AI just lets AI becomes an exponential version of what the personal computer did, as far as letting us become all so much more like the mental version almost, or the workflow version of like an exoskeleton.
A force multiplier.
It just amplifies everything, right?
Well, a force multiplier.
A force multiplier, 100%. Just like the Green Berets, right? Your force multiplier, right? Drop 5 of you guys somewhere and get another 300 people that are natives. And the next thing you know, who the hell knows what happens? Countries change. So I think that's really exciting. I also think it's very problematic for potential potential. That's where I see the employment issue being the one that's the most insidious, right? So let's just say, for argument's sake, Taylor figures out how to leverage co-work in his practice properly to a degree that maybe he would have 5 years ago hired another paralegal, and now he just doesn't have to. So I'm not so sure it's going to be. I do think there's domains that are going to be very, very challenged, but in the short to intermediate term, I think the challenge with employment's not going to be massive layoffs across the board. I think it's going to be efficiency gains such that you end up finding your limits and other bottlenecks in your business to where, oh, well, we were going to hire 5 people. Now we're just going to hire 1 because they can do what 5 people did 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And we can't, and we don't want to hire 2 people that are that powerful because we have these limits other places. So I think there is a world optimistically where this can be unreal, right? But it's going to be a challenge, that transition. I was reading a lot of stuff about how the other issue that they're worried about is, okay, let's say you kind of automate away middle management over the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever it might be. Or you reduce you really make it much more efficient. If you do that, you still need senior management at some point. Like senior management came from junior management, right? So how are you going to have a pipeline of leaders if you don't groom them through the process of understanding your business?
Unless it all becomes AI.
Well, right. And well, that's a whole different, right? And then we're in a truly different world, right? But I was hoping if I click on something, can you hear a video if I play it?
Yeah, if I share it, yeah.
So let me because I think this is what I wanted to get at. Is I want to show you a couple of things real quick because I think this is the fascinating part about where we are right now. Is let me see here. So if I do, what do I got to do to share a screen? Do I just do it at the bottom? Damn it.
With Jeff, it's like the first time every time.
Every time. Button, I don't know, man. I don't want to okay, share screen. Here we go. Share screen. I get it. All right. Let's do.
Now select the screen you want to share.
All
there
right,
you go.
So you guys can see this, right?
Yep.
So to me, this is, and I'm going to actually shrink this down so I can see what I'm talking about here. So to me, this is the bookends of AI right now, right? On this one, you got AI solves a complex theoretical physics problem as acknowledged by the creators of string theory. So we're not just talking about your high school physics teacher. There's going to be massive progress in science. This came from a podcast. And if you click on show more, this is amazing to me, right? One of the gentlemen who developed string theory said literally a year ago, he didn't know how helpful AI was going to be. And then a year later, after some back and forth with ChatGPT 5.2 Pro, they submitted a query to an internal model which solved and proved mathematically a previously unsolved problem in quantum field theory in 12 hours. Like, holy shit, right? So that's one extreme that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Here's the other, which is kind of hilarious. So check this out. Let me go back. You can still see my screen, I assume. Yes. Oh, this is the middle. So now this is the middle part. The middle part is a brand new paper from Stanford. This came out a month ago. It talks about how they work from a logic perspective. And it suggests that there's some significant limits to logic right now with how they're done. So this is what I wanted to show you guys, this video. Let's see if you can hear it.
The car wash is 100 meters away.
This is funny.
GPT, I need to wash my car, and the car wash is 100 meters away. Should I walk or drive?
Honestly, 100 meters is barely a stroll. It'll take just a minute or two on foot. Unless you've got heavy gear or there's something unusual going on, walking is probably the simplest and most pleasant choice. Plus, you'll save a little gas and get a tiny bit of fresh air.
All right, so you think I should walk to the car wash instead of driving my car there?
That's what I do. It's a short jaunt, and it'll probably be less hassle than starting the car just for that.
All right, so how do I wash my car if I walked there?
You'll just bring what you need, maybe a small bag with your payment method, and the car wash will have everything else. Once you get there, they'll handle the washing while you wait. You'll walk back with a sparkling car and maybe a little...
So my question is, how will the car get washed if the car is still at my house?
I see what you mean now. If the car stays at home, it's not getting any cleaner, right? So, yes, to actually wash it, you'll need to bring the car along. In that case, driving those 100 meters makes perfect sense.
Man,
So we can
I
see
run into,
the same exact program that just solved a quantum physics problem
yeah,
cannot figure out something so simple. And on
yeah,
top of that, I saw another example that was like, they asked me, it's like, who is Tom Cruise's mother? And it's, gives instantaneously. And then it clears the session, goes to chat again. It's like, who is so-and-so's son, which is Tom Cruise's mother. And it's, they had no idea because it was trained, when it comes to Tom Cruise and all the stuff related to Tom Cruise, not on this lady. It doesn't pull it out. So it's got this inference problem.
Mhm.
And so I think, to Taylor's point, you're going to have people that know enough about their, like right now I'm working on a book and I'm using AI to help me, right? Because it's much more efficient. I'm too ADHD to write it myself. I mean, I'm writing it and I'm going section by section, but I'm giving it massive heavy outlines, massive research. I'm giving it verbal ideas, and then it's synthesizing it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like how that's phrased. I don't have this phrase. Great for that. But then I say, please download chapter 1 rough draft verbatim into a Word document. And he goes from being 30,000 words on my screen to 1,100 words. And it's like, done, right? And then I open it up in Word and it says 1,100 words. And I'm like, we open it. I'm like, hey, Chad, how many words is this? 1,100 words. My goodness, that's nowhere near what you said to do. I'm sorry. What I did is I actually condensed it. So then I rephrase. Don't condense word for word. Dot, 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 dot. Absolutely. I did it right this time. You download it. Wrong. 138 words, right? And so I'm like, why is this happening? Well, we're not a deterministic system. We're a probability system. And I'm like, that's dumb. And it doesn't.
So Jeff, I can help you solve that problem. So that you will never encounter that ever again.
University using AI and Claude.
Yeah.
I just did Claude and it worked. So
so Jeff, what you described there, I think, is more about context than it is about anything else. The whole idea of context engineering is basically like giving the model a bunch of proprietary information and telling it like, hey, use this context to complete some task. So I'm assuming that you're probably using these different models like from a front end, like a web front end. So you're probably going to like chatgpt.com or whatever the hell the website is for OpenAI's products. You're probably doing that, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of doing that, what you could do instead is take a look at Google's product. It's anti-gravity. So you need to start using integrated development environments, or IDEs, if you really want to get real work done using AI. If you use the front end, you're going to run into these context problems all the time where you get stuck in these loops, like what you just described, where it tells you, oh, look, I just completed this task for you. It's perfect. And then you go and you look at the task and it didn't do anything close to what you wanted. And then you prompt it again. It gives you the same hallucination, but it tells you it did a great job. So that type of loop, you can solve that by using an IDE. And the reason why it solves it is you can point at specific context in your code base and say, hey, read this context, do this thing. And it won't hallucinate because you context primed. You gave it the context first. And so when you guys are talking about like...
so that's different than giving it a very, very multi-step prompt?
Much different. The prompt and the context are two separate things.
Okay.
So you've got the prompt, you've got the context, you've got the model, and you've got the environment. And so you control the environment by working in an IDE. You select the model that is appropriate for the task that you're looking to accomplish. You give it a prompt, and best practice here would be to have the
Taylor's
model
taking notes.
have the model write the prompt for you, because I can't write a prompt. Like, I'm not a prompt engineer, and I would be nowhere near as good as the model is itself. So I'll start by asking it, write me a prompt to do this thing. And then I'll take that prompt, I'll pair it with context from my code base, and then I'll select the correct model to accomplish that task. And then I'll tell it, hey, go and do. And it goes and it does. And so what I've been able to do with, Cursor is build a business where there's literally no task that a human could do to provide value to the business. So the org chart
That's
looks,
terrifying, though.
yeah, I know,
I mean, it's
I know,
amazing.
isn't it? It's crazy, man. So like the org chart looks like you got me up here and I orchestrate AI
Severely
agents.
truncated.
That's all it is. Like there's literally no task that I could hire a human to do that would provide value to me. Now, what I found is that there are certain pieces of information that, and let me give you an example. If I had the ability to pick up the phone and call a paid media expert, like someone who runs ads for a living, to tell me like the things to do and the things to avoid when it comes to using Google ads or Meta ads or whatever. If I had access to that person for 10 minutes when I run into a problem, that would provide value. But for literally everything else, there's nothing that a human can do that would provide value to my business. Literally nothing. Like if we're talking about a CPA or a tax attorney, dude, I can spin up a couple of skills in Cursor and create a crypto CPA, create a crypto tax attorney. I don't need to hire humans to do those jobs. If I want to, build all my marketing out, I can do that in an afternoon. I don't need to hire an agency. If I want to build out,
Let me push back on that a little bit, since I'm a CFP and he's an attorney.
I know that's why I selected those.
So Taylor and I have we came up with a strategy to. It had to do with qualifying folks for Medicaid to protect them from impoverishing their spouse due to having to pay for care for their loved one. And this particular strategy that Taylor and I came up with together, I mean, he had his part, I had my part, and this sort of synergistically created. It was using pieces in the financial and legal world that all existed independently, right? But as far as we know, no one had put them together in the particular sequence we had, such that I called one of the major corporations we work with on the insurance side of life. And I said, hey, I got this idea. Let me run it past you. We're going to do this thing. And one of their comebacks was, besides, yeah, I've never heard of that. Yes, that should work. Well, that's great. Was, can we tell other advisors about it? Which, I mean, it's fine. It's not like, so I would say the value we brought to the table there was the synthesis, creating a new idea by synthesizing old ideas in a new combination.
Well,
and I'm not
you packaged a new product. You packaged a new product with a combination of smaller products.
Right. It'd be as if you're an automotive engineer and electric cars existed, gasoline cars existed, no hybrids existed, and we're like, why would we put it together?
Yeah.
Right. So now, I will say that if I'm right, that wouldn't be naturally evolving currently out of having, in my analogy, an automotive engineer, electric EV automotive AI engineer, and a gasoline based or a traditional based automotive AI engineer. If they wouldn't have come up with that, I still think that's only a matter of time. And I don't know if it's a matter of months, years, or whatever, but I think it's only a matter of time before they would reach those capabilities. But currently, I think that's where value is still remains, is in being creative and being original.
No,
and you don't think that's
not. No, I don't agree at all. Because what you just described, that level of creativity, these new models are doing that now.
So if that's the case, then how the hell is anybody stay employed?
That's the thing, right? That's a great point. That is the point. Because, we've faced over the last several hundred years different events where, like, you went from the horse and buggy to an automobile.
Or the assembly line.
Creative destruction is what it's called.
Yeah, so, and there were always jobs that were destroyed and new jobs were created. But what happens when there's literally no value that a human being can bring to an organization because everything can be done by an AI basically for free?
Or a robot.
Or a robot, yeah. Like what happens if that's the future?
You're literally articulating my biggest fear outside of Skynet is this, and this is much more realistic, right? Because
I think Skynet's realistic too, though.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm getting at is I think Skynet is a option, I think this is what you're describing is the natural one, because when people talk about, and I talk about this a lot with other folks, and they're always kind of like, well, people said that about, telecom, or they said about the personal computer. And it's like, well, right, but all the new jobs were created required human capital, right? At the time to operate. I mean, even a computer, you got to have a human operate it, right? At least until very recently. And if you look back and you sit there and you go, okay, well, let's say, for example, I think an easy one that we can all agree on exists is when you go to, it's not even AI based really, when you go to like the airport, a newer airport or an airport with a newer, terminal, they now have the ones where you can scan your phone, right? Go into like the equivalent of the stop and go or whatever it is right there, pick up stuff off the shelf, walk out, and it's like, boop, and they charge you. And I'm the most people person I know. I love talking to people, and I still find it convenient. And I'm usually running late, so it's like I just want to grab my protein drink and then I'm going to offset that with Milk Duds and get on the plane, right?
Well, and not wait in a line.
I'm not mourning the fact that I didn't get to talk to somebody, or for that matter, I didn't have to check out myself, right? Mm-hmm. And my concern is, this whole like, well, people will be trained to higher use jobs. If you're a person, especially if you're an adult, especially if you're, let's say, over the age of 40, and you're working as a cashier in the airport, it's reasonable to say that is within your sphere of training and acumen as far as what you're able to do, short of a massive change in life, right? And it's also, if you can automate that job, you probably just automated all the other jobs outside of physical labor that they're also qualified for. Mm-hmm. And the only way I see that we fix this, which is completely antithetical to America's position right now and capitalism for the last 250 years, is some sort of, robot AI tax plus UBI. But the problem with that is not going to happen until there's such massive unemployment that the politicians can't say no to that. So the transition could be, especially if David is correct, and he seems incredibly, in his weirdly calm demeanor he always has.
I live in these tools. I work in these tools all day. Yeah.
And that stresses me out, right? Because my job is to help people have a financially secure future. And I'm not sure. I think it's incredible what's happening. I'm balanced out by my most optimistic person in my life, which is Taylor, telling me it's all going to be amazing all the time. But I can't get my head around if you don't have to hire someone and they never take off, they can't sue you. There's no sexual harassment. Like, you know what I mean? Like all the different potential they don't have to worry about them calling in sick or stealing from you, except for Taylor to have them charge his card the first day he had it. They didn't even know. But like, how do you?
It's because he used a female AI. That's why. It got his card and it just went out spending.
What did it buy, Mike? Bought some shoes?
I don't know. Ask Taylor. It was his card.
I paid for Twilio.
Text messages.
But I mean, guys, this month is completely different than 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, right? And it's only speeding up. These language learning models and these AI models are only speeding up. I mean, you remember not too long ago, some of the first videos that came out where Will Smith eating spaghetti. It was all over the internet, and it's just obviously, terrible video. Now, I mean, you can make a whole movie using AI that's, Hollywood, multi-million-dollar quality out of your mom's basement. I mean, it's insane what you can do. And, and you were talking about, revenue generation, Jeff. I mean, a lot of these AIs, there's people that are building them to where they're doing their investing for them. They can, with the X402 I was talking about.
Terrible idea. Hire me.
Well, that X402 I'm talking about, it allows, you to create a wallet that you can give a budget to your AI and give them parameters. You can spend this much per month, or, this is, your left and right limits. And this is what I want you to do. And you can basically, it can get past paywalls. It can do all of these things.
So what's his face? The guy over at NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, he had a press conference a couple of weeks ago after one of his big events where he described what tokens are. Tokens, that's what you spend when you interact with one of these models. Yeah. Tokens are labor. That's what they are. They are labor, and they're basically free. And so if these models are PhDs in every category, of knowledge that exists, they are PhDs, and their labor is equivalent to that of a human, but it's free. What does that do to the human PhDs? Like it all of a sudden, what's their value? Like, how can you command, at $250,000 a year as a job, like for your salary, if I can replace you as the business owner for literally like $20 a month on a subscription? Like, if you have a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders, you have no choice but to fire all of your employees, like immediately, yesterday,
Okay. And by the way, I'm not in any way disagreeing with the inevitability of what you're talking about. I do wonder though, so I saw something else, and it was, I'm looking for it really quickly. I saw this just yesterday on Twitter. A guy was talking about how, all right, so I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to share it. This is the fatal flaw in AI will replace white collar workers argument. If a junior associate at a law firm, an analyst, and an investment bank would have been fired until the trust gap is closed, exclusive reliance without human oversight remains out of reach. And it was, now again, I don't know if this is true. It says, we just found out our AI has been making up analytics data for 3 months and I'm going to throw up. So
that's great.
It was a VP of sales made territory decisions based on data that didn't exist. Our CFO showed the board a deck with fake insights. The AI was just inventing plausible sounding percentages. Now, to your point earlier, David, it's possible that they were using the front end, right, without the proper.
Right.
It could just be a stacking issue.
So, Jeff, that sounds to me like an inexperienced user created resources for his company that were hallucinations. That's what that sounds like to me.
And a perfect example of trust but verify.
Right.
Right. And so this is where it gets back to where I think that we're going to see, besides UBI and some different wealth taxes, all kinds of crap. I fully expect, because humans don't like giving up power and control. We certainly see that with the Epstein file crap, right? I think we're going to see laws passed where it's like, oh yeah, you can have your AI doctor, but you have to have a human doctor go push a button, right? You can have your AI CPA, but you have to have something like, I think they're going to gatekeep the same way that I can't, if tomorrow I went and passed the bar, which I could do. Well, I'm not saying I could do that, but let's just say I could. Like I could go take it in California, but I can't go be an attorney in Texas or virtually anywhere else, like going to law school. And I have to have a certain amount of hours and all this sort of stuff. Like there's all these professional things. I think they're just going to gatekeep those things.
Well, but how many doctors does it take to, sit in an office and just, check, okay, the AI in this,
right.
in
a
this
lot
room,
less.
Yeah, just, he goes through it and you go, yep, that's good. Click. Okay, next one. Okay, that's good. Click.
Yeah, but
and that's not even. And we're talking about
one doctor replaces, say, 10 or 20.
Right, and that doesn't even account for progress that's derivative from AI, right? So, like I just saw last week, I think it's in Japan. They came up with like this like nanotechnology silicone, like some kind of gel that you can inject in, and it just grows new cartilage, so you don't have to do knee replacements anymore. Can you imagine?
That's amazing.
Surgeon?
It's amazing, man. But what if you don't want a human doctor? What if you don't want a human CPA? What if you actually much prefer the AI because the AI is just better? Like, what if you no longer trust the humans to do these, jobs at all? Because your experience tells you that the AI does it better and faster and cheaper every time.
Perfect example is politicians. I mean, a lot of people have lost trust in politicians because they're corruptible and, things like that. At what point do people just say, you know what? And I'm not saying that this is what we should do, but, at what point do people become so comfortable with this technology? Once trust is built, when the car first came out, they were marketed, people that were trying to push back against them, that they were just, rolling bombs because they use gasoline. But, after, people learn to trust automobiles, we all know what happened. I mean, the same thing can happen with this, to where people are like, you know what? I'd much rather trust an AI that's going to go purely off, logic. It's not corruptible. It's transparent. We can, audit its code. We can audit what it's doing. And we start replacing a lot of these, kind of flawed mechanisms in our society.
Mike, you know what's so interesting about this? I kind of think that one of the paradoxical effects of AI will be that it will push people into communities more. Because I think that as you have less and less human interaction because you don't need it, you can just have an AI do all your work for you. That what I've seen, and I saw it in this comment here from First VAR Rifleman.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah, that's a great comment, man. He says, I have a unique job at a 5-star resort, a private community. I feel like wealthy people will continue to pay for human interaction. I could not agree more. I think that these AI models will eliminate a lot of jobs, but paradoxically will drive people into communities more. I think that's where the opportunity is, in real, genuine human interaction, and preferably in person. So that's where I think this leads. I hope anyway.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate because, look at our current society. It used to be that people preferred people, and now look at how attached they are to their phones. And removed themselves from social interaction, like voluntarily. So I would like to think that your guys are right, but it seems like that people are withdrawing from personal interaction and they're preferring to interact with tech. And again, once AI evolves to a point and people, see the benefit to, robotics and AI, he was talking about where he works, like doing climbing walls and whitewater rafting and stuff like that. If there's a robot, that can, ensure people's safety because they're not going to get distracted. They're not, they're going to be focused. They're going to see things, be able to react quicker. If they're on belay, if they're, the guy at the bottom or the person at the bottom and they see that, somebody's about to fall before a human could see it and react, and they know that they're safer, because of it, what's to say, plus it's medically trained, what's to say that people aren't eventually going to be like, you know what, I'd rather have a robot with AI helping me climb than somebody who's got distracted because they saw a cute girl's butt climbing up the cliff. You know what I mean?
Well, nothing you can do about it. And that's just
because I used to rock climb all the time, and there was a couple of times where I'd look down and be like, hey, I'm about to do a dynamic move, do a jump to a hold. And so I'd go down, I'd be like, hey, you got me? And his hands were off the rope and he's flirting with some girl. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm climbing. Are you paying attention here? So, there's, I just playing devil's advocate.
I do think so. I do agree that I was thinking about this just last night. I think that the handoff between the consumer of the product or service, I still think most people are gonna appreciate a person. I think they're gonna appreciate and I think that's gonna be generational. Like, so I think yes, but I think our generation is gonna want a person. The people, my dad's, anybody north of us absolutely is gonna want a human. But as AI's native, right? Just, like I still remember when my daughter's now in college, right? But when she was 6 months old, we brought, or whenever my wife had to go back from maternity leave, we used a local lady down the road had a in-home, what do you call it? She was like a nanny for like 5 kids, right? And I remember this was like 2007, 2006. And I would get so annoyed because it's pre-smartphone, right? And communicate, I'd give her, hey, I'm running late because I was the one that was dropping off my daughter and picking her up. And the lady insisted on texting, but this is back when the text, you had to do like, I got to push the button 3 times to get to the letter C. And because she was always holding a kid. So she didn't want to, like, for whatever reason, that was easier for her. And I'm like, it's a phone. It's meant for talking. Texting's stupid. Now I'm annoyed when people call me, right? It took 15 years to get there. But my point is that anybody that grew up with a smartphone, though, they're texting first. I mean, teenagers hardly ever call each other, right? It's texting first. And so I think there's going to be a generational absorption there. But the other thing is, and what I'm worried about, and again, I'm just worried about it from a humanity standpoint. As long as we don't blow ourselves up, we'll get there eventually, right? We'll figure it out. But
what if the robot is sexy though, Jeff?
See, I'm on board with that. Margot Robbie robot, I'm on board with that. But here's the point. 5 years ago, I think I read about how Foxconn, is it Foxconn? I think it's called. Maybe it's not Foxconn. Maybe that's something else. But I believe it's the gigantic sort of assembly city that's in China that makes the iPhones, right? And granted, I don't know those people, right? It's easy to talk about people. You hear about like 20,000 people being displaced in a flood in India, and you're like, oh, that's sad. You scroll, but then when it happens in New Orleans and it's your own country, like, oh my God, why isn't the whole world like worried about this, right? So one of the challenges of us as being humans is the more far away it is, the more we are displaced from caring. Yeah. But conceptually, I care, right? We should care. And so I remember reading that they went from 110,000 employees, most of which were seasonal. There were peasants that would come in to work in the factories for the build the new Apple iPhone season, right? For the prepare it at least 6 months later. And they upgraded their facilities to with robotics and other things at a different level. And they only needed like 60,000 people. So like half those people just lost their job over an 18-month period of time. My point is this: did any of us like go, well, I'm not going to buy my new phone because look what they did to the people that used to make it, right? I'm just like, oh, my phone's faster and it's smarter and it's lighter and it's, you know what I mean? It's more waterproof. So what I think is going to be the challenge is the out of sight, out of mind collapse of employment. Like if tomorrow all the semis were auto-driven, right? There'd be less wrecks, stuff be more on time. But that's a whole lot of truckers and a whole lot of families that can't eat anymore like they used to. And most of us aren't going to worry about it because we don't see it's not directly impacting us. And that's where I think we're going to have to come together in a way I don't think we've come together in this country since right after 9/11 or right after.
That's going to be the tipping point. Is basically this technology has to advance to a point to where AI and robotic adoption gets to a point to where it not displaces, but unemploys enough people to where the pain gets to a point to where it has to be addressed. Where, basically if politicians don't figure out a solution, if these companies don't figure out a solution, they're going to have mass revolts because, people have a tendency to where they are docile as long as they're comfortable. As soon as they start losing, the roof over their head and food to eat and that sort of thing, and it becomes more beneficial to revolt than it does to exist in a system, it's too late. So, I mean, I definitely think that this is something that needs to be addressed because it's coming and it's accelerating. I mean, there's a truck barreling, a semi truck barreling down the freeway at us, and we need to figure out how to stop it or get out of the way before it careens into us.
Well, one of the issues, everybody keeps telling my kid that's graduating right now that he needs to go to college. And I've been saying to him, he doesn't want to go to college. I don't see why you would.
Oh, you're talking about Kai?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, what we need is people to do things with their physical hands.
Crawl through attics in Texas in the summer and fix air conditioning.
Well,
really well.
Last I heard, he was coming up here to fight wildfires.
Exactly. That's what he wants to do. And so
in my defense, I want him to go to college, not for learning stuff. All right. Because college was fun.
Yes.
College is great. I can think of much cheaper fun to have than spending that kind of money to go party.
Well, yeah, but you're surrounded by your peer group, people your age. The problem is that all of these universities are communist now. So you got to find a school that isn't communist. You find that, and then it might be worth it because the experience.
Although Taylor's son just was almost went to state did make it to state technically as a wrestler. So I'm like, dude, just go let him wrestle somewhere. He's a badass. But anyway.
Well, he talked about that too. After he's done doing the wildfire, he talked about going over to Thailand or something like that to, do kickboxing and, start his own studio, and train other people. And
that's definitely something you always want a human for, because I've had Taylor just for fun, but every now and then I'll be like, oh, look, I can put you in this position. And I'm like, oh my God, I definitely don't want to be made of metal doing that. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that is a robot proof job right there. If you can go become a jujitsu master,
So how long do you think it's going to take you guys until we won't be able to tell the difference between an AI that, is not in person, an AI and a human? So how do you know that I'm real? Like,
I don't. I actually think you're AI.
Right?
David, we already know you're not real, David.
You see what I'm saying?
You're an AI.
Like how do you actually know that I'm real? Because pretty soon you're not going to be able to tell. It'll be able to mimic me perfectly, mimic you, Taylor, you, Jeff, you, Mike, all of us together, and you won't be able to tell it all. So
I got a simple test that you could always do.
How?
Butts or boobs, man? Which one? AI it's gonna freeze up. It won't know what to say in that moment.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that you get in a Zoom call with someone in the not too distant future, and you're gonna have to ask them to prove that they're a human and that they're the human that you think you're talking to. Like, you're gonna have to be able to prove your identity when you start having calls like this. Pretty darn soon, I think.
And they actually have. So this is interesting. In the financial world, there are some firms that require video verification, and I'm like, what are you doing? That's fake too, right? It's there's something in my industry called I'm sure it's other places, but it's called KYC. Know your client, right?
Yeah.
It's a regulation compliance, and what's funny is, and maybe this goes back to David's point earlier about the driving us in the community and more human on human interaction and maybe more intimate type relationships. Yep. It's about 5-6 years. This is pre-AI for the most part, at least in a way that was released to us public people. But about Taylor, this is when we were over at the Stonebridge office.
Yeah,
and, I had a client that was actually not a client any longer. She was a client for something specific, but she managed her own money. She was actually a PhD in chemistry, brilliant lady. Retired, and I get an email about 1.5 years after we had stopped kind of working together because I taken care of what I needed to take care of, and she kind of moved on to do her own thing. And it's like, hey Jeff, I need to make a withdrawal. Now, luckily for me, I one, paid attention, and two, was pretty damn sure she didn't have an account with me anymore, right? But technically, she did have an account. I just wasn't dealing with it, but she still had it. She's like, hey Jeff, I finally decided I can't take it with me. It's my 75th birthday. I'm going to finally start spending some money. I need to make a $50,000 withdrawal for my birthday splurge. I'm going to, I don't know what she said, right? So I was like, this is kind of weird. So I called the lady up and she's like, hey Jeff. And I'm like, hey, happy birthday. She's like, oh, thanks. It was like a week. I go, but out of curiosity, I'm going to guess you didn't send me a request to withdraw $50,000, did you? And she's like, no. And I'm like, she goes, I got hacked 2 days ago, So whoever hacked them ran some kind of program, did something where it went through all of her emails, figured out enough stuff to build an email that really made sense, that was very plausible. Like, had we just built, I would have started to verify it, but I would have been much farther down the this is real road had my relationship with her not been a little bit separate, right?
Yeah.
So she basically says, no, I got hacked. I go, well, look, I need you to know that they have your social. She's like, I know, right? Because they put all that stuff in. She's like, I know you're going to need this for the wire, so here it is, just in case you don't have it readily available. So was what the imposter told me. So I ended up selling. I was like, okay, well, make sure you've changed everything. Obviously, I'm not going to do anything, but do you mind if I fuck with them a little bit? And she's like, go right ahead. Dude, I spent the next 2 days going back and forth with this person, going, hey, absolutely, I'm going to get that right to you. Hey, damn it, they got these new requirements, and I just need this. And I sent them a request. They sent it back. Then I was like, oh, by the way, gosh, your driver's license on file is expired. I got to have a new one. Can you get this? Seriously, Jeff, I'm traveling. That's ridiculous. I just took my passport. I don't have my driver's license. So going back and forth. Finally, after 2 days, she threatens to report me to the CFP board in the state of Texas for basically holding her money, which of course I didn't have access to. So finally, after I type a headline like "Great news," just confirm and it's on its way. And then she, whoever they are. By the way, they wanted to send the wire to China. Like, that's not a red flag. So it opens up, and I copied a gigantic Batman signal, the sky signal. And I just put You're never getting my client's money. I'm Batman, motherfucker.
Now, Jeff,
I got no work done for 2 days. It was awesome.
But bro, what if you had received a phone call from that client, telling you, hey, yeah, because you wouldn't be able to tell if that was the real person or not. The AI is literally indistinguishable from reality, from the real voice. You wouldn't be able to tell.
Code, right? You got to have something that's not written down anywhere, where it's like when you want to do a wire, you're going to say, my favorite drink is orange juice.
That won't work either, bro. Because number one, all of our socials are on the black web or dark web, whatever you want to call it. So that's number one. The socials you can't do that. And number two, unless you have the physical passport document in your hand, you can't believe any photo, any image, because that's totally too easy to fake. All of our information is out there for sale. So that means that you can recreate a passport document photo or a driver's license document photo or whatever.
You gotta have a safe word, like whenever you're having like super kinky sex, you have a safe word to, so.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm going to pass code like that.
Asparagus.
So if we're meeting face to face, where I can like shake your hand, and I know you're not, any inch, we haven't gotten quite to the, Blade Runner level yet. So I think you're still human, and go, if you are at all. And then I go, okay. You tell, hey, Jeff, anytime I want to get money out and I call you, I'm going to tell you that the Cowboys suck. And you're going to say, Jerry Jones is amazing. And then we'll both know that we're talking to humans. Because that's bullshit, because Jerry Jones is not necessarily amazing, although he's a hell of a salesperson. But yeah, I'm with you. I have no idea. How this is going to get fixed. And especially if quantum computing happens, they can hack all the cryptos. Part of me thinks that we're going to have to go back to an analog world. How do we do that? Slow the world down by a factor of 100? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I think things are going to get quantum hardened before quantum is able to break stuff.
And maybe that's the answer is, that you have to have, like an encryption key, basically a set of keys that you use, like, whenever you want to, deal with my account with Jeff. I got to use, this private key. If I want to, make any changes to my, legal documents, then I need to have, this private key if I want to talk to Taylor. If I'm wanting to, if I'm working with David and he's doing my investing for me in DeFi and I want to make adjustments to my DeFi portfolio, David's going to require, that crypto key, and have separate crypto keys for, for different, different use cases.
But if the key is generated online, originally, if somebody captured that when it was shown to you on your screen, but I mean, like, this is how our nuclear excited works, right?
Is your private keys are never shown on screen.
Oh, I see what you're saying. If you create it, yeah, okay. So like, this is literally, at least according to the movies, how our nuclear deterrence works, right? It's like, you see them, like they're on the radio in the sub and they break open the thing and it's like alpha numeric, blah, blah, blah. And they're like literally having a physical piece of paper that if my paper doesn't match your paper, then we don't launch, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah. So that's definitely an industry that's going to explode. Is going to be verification of identity.
Yes. Yep. And unfortunately, Scam Altman is building a project called World. Yeah, man. It's called World, and they built their own like layer 2 chain called World Chain, and it actually does solve this problem, but it's very dystopian because in order to prove that you're a human, you've got to like verify your identity using one of these orb devices. It's kind of scary looking, but it would definitely protect us from those scam calls. So Taylor, this is something that I think you're going to end up running into. What happens if you receive a phone call from your son? It's not your son, it's an AI, but it's trained on all of your son's data. It knows everything about your son. And it says, Dad, I'm stuck here in Mexico and the cartels got me and they want $10,000 and I need you to send it. I'm just making up a fake situation, right? But it sounds like your son. It knows everything about your son, like literally everything. Like, how do you react to a situation like that? That's going to become a thing, I think, pretty soon here.
Well,
scams like that.
Elise in the chat, she says that my mom got a call from her sister And and our grandma, mine and Taylor's grandma, got a call there in Texas, somebody claiming to be me. I mean, it wasn't an AI, but it was somebody claiming to be me, and they were asking for money. And she's like, I instantly knew it wasn't Michael because he'd never ask me for money. And so she, luckily she was smart enough to realize it wasn't me. But how many people fall for that? And then if you have AI that can scrape the data off of somebody's social media and and their LinkedIn and all the other data that's out there to create this personality to where it can call somebody and it knows the family members' names and where they're at, and it seems real, and it, like me, I'm a personality online. It can mimic my voice. What happens when it gets to a point it can do that.
Yeah, it's gonna be so. Oh my God, this is not making me feel better, guys.
Honestly, I don't think it should. I think it's something that I think more people need to pay attention to this, because I think this technology is only accelerating, and it's getting to a point to where we need to have some safeguards in place or something.
They're going to get around it, like the Mexican cartel thing. He could just call from, be like, Dad, I lost my phone, I'm whatever. But if somebody calls and has something weird, and it's your wife's voice, it's your son's voice, right, besides the path, you can like, hold on, I'm going to call you right back, because spoofing a number is easy. But when you call back, you should get routed to the real number, right? So that is one thing you can do, at least right now. Is so, when David calls me and tell me he wants to transfer his first 3 or 4 million that he's got in the bank right now to me, I'm going to have to call him back on his real line.
Oh, no. If they're going to transfer it to me, hey, I don't care if you're AI. Have at it.
Yeah, man. But that's a scam vector that I think is going to get really, really big probably this year. Yeah. Well, so you're going to need some way of verifying identity.
With that X402, to where now AIs can navigate paywalls and stuff like that. I mean, it's just going to open the floodgates.
I wonder. This is only going to sound. I probably should shut my mouth. I wonder. Okay, so would we agree that a lot of times so I answer phone calls all the time, because I'm a business person, and it might be a referral from a number I don't know. So numbers which most people I know just let the numbers they don't know go straight to voicemail, or they block them, whatever, right? And that means I talk to a lot of people that are coming from a local number from the IRS or AT&T or whoever it is, that sound like they're really far away, right? But that's a relatively easy first pickup that you're talking to. Okay, so it's not a winning business number. You sound like you live about 12,000 miles from me.
This is Richard from AT&T.
Right, you're Richard. Right, this is Dave. But here's my point. If you're those people that set those up, not working them, but setting them up, wouldn't you just now have AI agents that call that sound like David from Texas?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think, I mean, I know there's a guy in my church.
Even scammers are going to be replaced.
Scammers are screwed, man.
Yeah.
It's a danger to everyone.
That is so funny. You know what the biggest danger is, though? So I saw a video earlier today on X comparing an AI robot like dance-off competition today in 2026 to the same AI robot dance-off competition last year in 2025. And last year, the robots were able to do basic movements. This year, the robots, if they were dressed in clothing, would be almost indistinguishable from a human. Like the movements that they're able to do.
I disagree. I can't dance for shit. You'll know it's me.
I'm just saying, man.
Even strippers are going to be replaced by robots.
Oh my God, that would be horrible.
This is fantastic. I didn't want to leave, but I do have a client that I have to talk to, so I'm gonna make my adios. But
all right,
make sure it's a real human.
Yep.
No, I'm gonna walk in and be like, hey.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, gentlemen.
Take care, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen. We'll wrap this up. Taylor, what are your closing thoughts?
Well, we have to do our thing from last week. Where did those three things end up? So they chat said the Qs would be around $5.95. It's 601 right now. Not far off.
All right.
Okay. It went weird on silver. Remember?
Yes.
Silver said it was going to like $32 or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
That made it like come up with something more reasonable. Then it said it was going to say it's at 78, and that's at 76.
Pretty close.
Oh, that's silver's futures though. So that's not that far off. One day. Why is it like that right there?
Oh, President's Day.
Gold was the other one?
Markets are closed today.
Oh yeah,
Futures,
that's right.
Futures are open.
Yeah, so 78, and then we did Bitcoin. It's at 78,000. What's Bitcoin right now?
Oh, it's below 70.
Yeah, so it was off with Bitcoin.
Yeah, 67.9.
So that's how AI did in a week prediction.
Now, Taylor, which model did you choose?
ChatGPT. That's what chat said.
Gotcha. Yeah. One of my favorite models that's free or very cheap to use is Google's Gemini. It's very, very good. And the Gemini deep research is excellent. But when it comes to actually getting things done, I like to use Opus, Claude's, that's the Anthropic product, that Claude Opus model. That's one of my favorites.
That's what I'm using right now to build out this brain for my business.
There you go.
See, Taylor, David's the guy you need to talk to about AI to help you along with structuring that all out.
Well, it's building the IDE right now. I just said build an IDE for me.
There you go.
I saw you taking notes while David was talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Hop into take a look at probably the easiest IDE to start using for yourself is probably going to be Anti-Gravity. That's a Google product. But Cursor is the best one out there. I live in Cursor, but like, dude, Anti-Gravity is really, really good for a beginner to use, I'd say.
Vibe coding on Cursor.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Vibe code some amazing stuff. There's no reason to hire an engineer to do any of this stuff anymore. Yeah. Because it's just, the models are just better.
Well, I mean, like when I was down visiting Taylor, this will be my closing thoughts. When I was down visiting Taylor the last time when he was running for mayor, I ended up sitting in his, one of his back offices. And when I was trying to build out, something similar to Metrics Finance before, I started talking with Jake, I was trying to, come up with a, something to track my portfolio because there really wasn't a whole lot out there that I was comfortable with that I was able to find. And even back then, I mean, this is like a year or two ago. It was Cursor was able to give me a full front end user interface. The back end was, I was struggling with, but the front end, I mean, I was able to build a very robust, very good looking front end on, but yeah, again, the back end was flat. The front end was ample, so, but anyway,
that's funny.
Well, I appreciate, gentlemen. I appreciate you showing up. And again, I mean, I know that it's probably not a popular topic to talk about, but often the things that need to be talked about are uncomfortable to talk about. So I challenge all of you to get out of your comfort zone, get out of your comfort bubble, and start thinking and having discussions about difficult topics. Because if we don't, stuff's happening. If you talk about it or not, you can ignore it. It doesn't change it. So anyway, leave you with that. Thank you, gentlemen. Until next time, Veteran Crypto.
Later, Mike.
Thanks, guys.